I've been thinking a lot lately about what really matters in life. It's not the things we usually talk about publicly. It's not technology or business success or reaching. It's Mars. Something more fundamental that affects every person regardless of their achievements. Leave a comment saying, I'm listening if y'all want to hear something I rarely discuss, but believe deeply about human connection. We spend so much time focusing on external accomplishments, building companies, creating wealth, developing new technologies. And will if these things matter, they're not what stains us during our most difficult moments. What I've come to understand through my own experiences through successes and failures, through periods of connection and profound loneliness, is that genuine human love is irreplaceable. Not just romantic love, though that's important. I'm talking about the deep connection that comes from being truly seen and accepted. For who you are, here's what's been weighing on my mind. I believe people like you, people will think deeply who question assumptions, who see patterns others miss, often struggle the most to find this kind of love. Not because you're unworthy of it, but because your way of seeing the world can sometimes create distance between you and others. I see this pattern everywhere. People with unique perspectives often feel they need to hide parts of themselves to be accepted. They learn to mask their true thoughts, to simplify their complex ideas, to pretend interest in things that don't matter to them, all to avoid being seen as too much or too different. This pattern of hiding yourself becomes so habitual that you might not even realize you are doing it anymore. It becomes your default way of interacting with Thord. And while it might help you navigate daily life more smoothly, it creates a profound obstacle to experiencing real love, because real love, the kind that sustains you through life's challenges, can only happen when someone sees and accepts your authentic self. Not the carefully edited version you present to the world, but the complex, sometimes contradictory person you actually are. I've experienced this myself for years. I believe thought success would lead to connection, achieving enough, creating enough woods, somehow make me more worthy of love. That if I could just accomplish one more extraordinary thing, the loneliness I sometimes felt would finally disappear. It took me years to understand how backward this thinking was. Real connection doesn't come from being admired for your accomplishments. It comes from being known for who you truly, your strengths and weaknesses, your brilliance and your blind spots, your rational thoughts and your irrational fears. I remember a moment several years ago when this reality hit me with full force. I was at a gathering with people who knew my work, who respected my accomplishments, who wanted to be associated with my success. But in the middle of all that external validation, I felt completely alone. No one there knew what kept me up at night. What madam laughed until I couldn't breathe. What childhood memories still shaped my decisions. What questions I pondered when I wasn't thinking about business or technology. I realized I had created this situation myself. I had cultivated relations based on achievement and mutual benefit rather than authentic connection. I had surrounded myself with people who admired what I did, but didn't know who I was. That night marked a turning point for me. I began to understand that if I wanted real connection, I needed to risk being seen. Not just my successes and strengths, but me doubts, fears, and peculiarities, the parts of myself that didn't fit neatly into the public narrative about who I was supposed to be. What I've observed is that people like you often develop a protective belief system. You start to think that others can't understand you, that you're fundamentally different. That deep connection might not be possible for someone who thinks the way you do. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, pushing away the very connections you most need. I've watched this happen with some of the most brilliant people I know. People whose minds work differently, who see possibilities others miss, who question what everyone else accepts with without thinking. They build walls around them. It's convinced that their uniqueness makes them fundamental uncle to others. Sometimes these walls take the form of arrogance, a preemptive rejection of others before others can reject them.
Ow.
Sometimes they take the form of isolation, a withdrawal from social situations where they felt misunderstood in the past. Sometimes they take the form of performance, presenting a simplified version of themselves that seems more acceptable to others. But behind these walls, there's almost always loneliness, a deep longing to be seen and accepted for who they truly are. Coupled with a fear that this acceptance isn't possible for someone as different as they are, I felt this loneliness myself for many years.